Listen closely to the sound of those helicopter blades chopping through the thick, humid air of Sinaloa. You are kneeling in the dirt, hands tied, sweat stinging your eyes. On one side of you is the crushing weight of extreme poverty, the kind that slowly starves your family to death in a forgotten village. On the other side is a one-way ticket to the most brutal, blood-soaked underworld on the planet. Today, you are making a choice. You are stepping into the Mexican Cartel. You will start at the absolute bottom, treated worse than a stray dog on the street. And if you somehow survive the endless meat grinder, you might just become a billionaire god. Or, more likely, you will end up dissolving in a rusty barrel of acid before your 21st birthday. There is no turning back now. Welcome to the life. Your brutal journey begins as a halcon, the hawk. Do not let the cool name fool you. You are the lowest of the low, the disposable eyes and ears of the cartel on the streets. Your first job pays barely $100 a week, barely enough to buy tortillas and beans. Your only weapon is a cheap plastic flip phone with a prepaid battery that you must never, ever let die. Your mission is simple but mind-numbing. You sit at a dusty intersection for 18 hours a day, staring at the blazing asphalt under the scorching Mexican sun. You are looking for any strange license plates, unfamiliar faces, unmarked vehicles, or military convoys entering the territory. And you must report them instantly. But do not think you can just slack off or take a nap in the shade. The stakes are absolute life and death. If you fall asleep, or if you call in a military truck, one single minute too late, your punishment is not a pay cut or a stern warning from a manager. They will drag you into an abandoned alleyway, skin your face while you are still breathing, and hang your mutilated body from a highway bridge as a graphic message to the next hungry kid who takes your spot. The law of plata o plomo, silver or lead, begins right here in the dirt. You take the meager silver they give you, and you keep your mouth completely shut, or you get the lead. You learn the golden rule of the streets very quickly. See everything. Hear everything. Say absolutely nothing unless spoken to. You watch luxury bulletproof trucks roll by, filled with men wearing thick gold chains and holding assault rifles out the windows. And you pray that one day, that will be you. You survive the agonizing heat, the constant, crippling paranoia of rival gangs doing drive-bys, and the terrifying police raids that sweep through your neighborhood. Therefore, you prove your loyalty by never missing a single report, and the bosses finally decide you are ready for a promotion. But this promotion requires you to leave your humanity behind forever. You have survived the corner, but now you must survive the training camp. Welcome to the rank of Sicario, the hitman. To earn the right to carry a gun and wear the cartel insignia, you are sent to a secret mountain camp hidden deep in the Sierra Madre, known as Las Estacas. This is not a military boot camp. This is hell on earth, specifically designed to break your mind, shatter your soul, and turn you into a soulless killing machine. You are beaten daily by instructors who laugh at your pain, starved for days on end, and forced to endure unimaginable psychological torture. You hear dark rumors about rival cartels like the CJNG forcing new recruits to eat the raw flesh of their victims to prove they have absolutely no empathy left. You realize the rumors are entirely true when a bloody plate is shoved into your face. You eat it, or you become the next meal for the hungry dogs. You throw up in the dirt, wiping your mouth with trembling hands, but you survive the night. And then, they hand you your first real weapon, a heavy, cold AR-15 assault rifle loaded with armor-piercing rounds. You feel a sudden surge of dark, intoxicating power you have never felt before in your miserable life. You are no longer the prey hiding on the street corner. You are now the apex predator. But your final test is the most cruel and twisted of all. The instructors drag a hooded man into the center of the clearing and force him to his bleeding knees. They aggressively pull off the hood. It is a kid you grew up with, a friend from your own neighborhood who simply owed money to the wrong plaza boss. You are directly ordered to pull the trigger and end his life. You hesitate, your hands shaking violently, sweat pouring down your face as you look into his terrified, pleading eyes. But the massive men standing behind you cock their own weapons, pointing the cold steel directly at the back of your head. Therefore, you close your eyes tightly, block out the crying, and squeeze the trigger. The explosive recoil hits your shoulder hard, and the deafening ringing in your ears drowns out the sound of your own screaming. Fractured soul. You open your eyes, and your childhood friend is gone, replaced by a lifeless body in the dirt. You are officially a sicario. No, your daily life is a chaotic blur of extreme violence and adrenaline. You ride in the back of heavily armored narco tanks, executing brutal drive-by shootings in broad daylight on crowded city streets. You ruthlessly storm rival safe houses under the cover of darkness, throwing grenades and leaving absolutely no survivors behind. You follow orders blindly, motivated by the intoxicating adrenaline, the constant fear of gruesome failure, and the thick stacks of bloody cash they now hand you every single week. You buy expensive designer clothes. You drink the finest tequila. You pray to the Santa Muerte for bulletproof protection. And you desperately try to forget the haunting faces of the countless people you have buried in the desert. But the deep, gnawing paranoia never truly leaves your mind. Every single time you turn the key to start your car, you expect it to explode into a massive fireball. Every time a stranger knocks on your front door, you instinctively grab your loaded gun and hold your breath. You realize you are just a tool, a blunt weapon to be used up and violently discarded by the wealthy men sitting comfortably above you. You know that the statistical average lifespan of a cartel sicario is less than 3 miserable years. You desperately need to climb higher up the bloody ladder, or you will inevitably end up dumped in a shallow mass grave like all the rest of them. You start taking on much more dangerous, suicidal missions, successfully eliminating high-profile targets, and proving to the ruthless bosses that you are not just another mindless killer. You are a terrifying force of nature, ready to lead. You have survived the bloody streets and the terrifying training camps. You have buried enough bodies to fill a small cemetery, and your absolute ruthlessness has finally caught the attention of the highest ranks. You are no longer just pulling the trigger. You are now the one pointing the finger. Welcome to the elite level of management, the terrifying rank of Jefe de Plaza, or the Plaza Boss. You now control an entire city, or perhaps a crucial border crossing, and your daily life drastically changes from hiding in the dirt to living in a heavily fortified mansion. Millions of dollars in shrink-wrapped cash flow through your hands every single month. You do not just bribe the local police. You completely own them, paying the police chief more in a week than the government pays him in a whole year. The mayor answers your late-night phone calls with a trembling voice, and the military commanders conveniently look the other way when your massive convoys of drugs roll through the desert highways. You have a private army of heavily armed sicarios at your beck and call, ready to unleash absolute hell on anyone who disrespects your name. But with this immense power comes a crippling, suffocating paranoia that slowly eats away at your sanity. You realize that your biggest enemies are no longer the rival cartels across the border. They are the very men standing right behind you in your own living room. In this ruthless underworld, loyalty only lasts until a better offer comes along. And there is always a hungry, violent young sicario who wants your luxurious leather chair. Every single meal you eat must be tasted by a bodyguard first, because poison is cheaper than bullets. Every time your encrypted phone rings in the middle of the night, your heart stops, wondering if it is a shipment that got busted by the DEA, or a hit squad surrounding your compound. You receive gruesome, graphic videos on your phone from rival factions, showing your own men being tortured to death with chainsaws and dull machetes. A dark warning of what awaits you if you ever show a moment of weakness. Therefore, you must become even more brutal, ordering horrific purges within your own ranks, killing men you have known for years just because they looked at you funny or whispered a secret in the corner. You sleep with a gold-plated AK-47 under your expensive silk sheets, trusting absolutely no one, not even your own blood relatives, because, in the cartel, blood does not make you family. It just makes you a target. You have survived the endless betrayals, the brutal turf wars, and the constant threat of government raids. You have systematically eliminated every single rival, crushing their skulls and absorbing their territories until there is absolutely no one left to challenge your absolute supremacy. You have reached the bloody pinnacle of the criminal food chain. You are El Jefe, the ultimate boss, the godfather of a multi-billion-dollar drug empire. You are no longer just a criminal. You are a dark, mythical figure whispered about in fearful tones across the entire country. Your personal wealth rivals that of legitimate global corporations, and your name actually appears on the Forbes billionaire list next to tech moguls and real estate tycoons. You have massive narco-submarines silently crossing the oceans, fleets of private jets moving thousands of kilos of cocaine through the sky, and an army of thousands of heavily armed men who would gladly die for you in a heartbeat. You have politicians, judges, and high-ranking military generals on your secret payroll, effectively making you untouchable by the normal laws of human society. But ironically, at the absolute height of your unlimited power, you are more trapped than you have ever been in your entire life. You are a ghost, a phantom hunted by the most powerful intelligence agencies on the planet. The CIA, the DEA, and the Mexican Marines are all constantly searching for your exact coordinates, using advanced spy satellites and high-tech drones to track your every single move. You have billions of dollars sitting in underground vaults, but you cannot even step foot into a luxury restaurant or walk down a sunny beach without triggering a massive military shootout. You are forced to live in a state of constant, exhausting flight, hiding in cramped, dirty, secret tunnels dug deep into the unforgiving Sierra Madre Mountains. You never sleep in the same bed for 2 consecutive nights, constantly moving from one miserable safe house to another, surrounded by nervous guards who jump at every shadow. You realize the ultimate, tragic truth of the cartel life. There is absolutely no peaceful retirement plan for a godfather. You cannot just hand in your resignation and buy a quiet farm in the countryside. There are only two possible ways this horrific journey ends for you. Either you are captured in a terrifying, explosive midnight raid by elite special forces, handcuffed, and extradited to a freezing, solitary confinement cell in an American supermax prison, where you will slowly rot away until the day you die, exactly like El Chapo. Or, far more likely, your own inner circle will eventually turn against you, selling your exact location to the highest bidder for a massive bounty, and you will die in a spectacular hail of deafening gunfire, your body ripped apart by the very same violence that built your throne. The Cartel is not a glamorous Hollywood movie filled with cool music and beautiful women. It is a terrifying, remorseless meat grinder that takes poor, desperate kids and turns them into soulless monsters. You sold your soul to the devil for a brief, shining moment of absolute power. And in the end, the devil always comes to collect his bloody debt. The life of a cartel member is a fast, violent, and ultimately doomed existence. A terrifying ride on a runaway train heading straight off a cliff. There is no glory. There is no honor. There is only blood, money, and the inescapable grip of death. You thought you were the hunter, but you were always the prey. The system was designed to consume you from the very first day you stood on that hot, dusty corner, holding a cheap plastic phone. The millions of dollars you buried in the desert will be dug up by the next ambitious kid who takes your place. And your name will be completely forgotten by the end of the week. The cycle of unimaginable violence simply resets itself, feeding on the endless supply of desperate souls looking for a way out of poverty. You traded a quiet, hungry life for a loud, bloody death. And looking back at the trail of destruction you left behind, you have to ask yourself one final, haunting question before the lights go out forever. Was it all truly worth it? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you survived this brutal